It's a very beastly looking Yamaha. What is that? I don't think it's the bolt. Or is it? It's got big old cylinders on it, whatever it is. Huge great things. Almost looks like they're twins. It's like a V4 instead of a V2, but I'm pretty sure it's just a V-twin. Good to look at that one again. What are you doing? Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Well, hello again, guys. Today's video is going to be a little bit of advice, a couple of safety tips for when you get in situations like just then. Right, yeah, so basically, I've got three kind of main tips when it comes to staying safe on a bike. Now, they should teach you these things in the CBT anyway, but I'm going to go through them because I do think they're really important. So, my first big tip is road positioning. It's very easy if you're a new rider, and if you're on quite a small bike like a 50 or a 125, it's very easy to feel intimidated by everyone else around you, especially if they're in big cars. You know, a lot of people have SUVs and, 4x4s. It's very easy to feel intimidated, and a lot of the time when people feel intimidated, they're tempted to ride in the gutter. Now, this is quite dangerous for several reasons. The first reason being that if you're riding in the gutter, people are going to try and squeeze past you. Now, you might think that's fine because you're letting them past and you're not going to get in their way or anything, but actually it's causing a dangerous situation because they're passing way too close to you, they're squeezing through a gap. You know, it just puts you in more danger. Another big reason for not doing that is if you're riding in the gutter and somebody is sitting in a side street waiting to come out, like what happened just now, you are not going to be seen quite so well. If you're in the centre of the road like I am now and you come across that, they can see you, hopefully. But if you're riding right in the gutter, they're not going to see you at all, not until it's too late. So that's another good reason. And then the third reason for not doing that is when you come to corners, if you're riding right in the gutter, you might not necessarily be able to see well enough around the corner. So when it comes to road positioning, adopt the centre of the road, basically, is where you want to be. That's the good position to adopt because, you know, you might be on a small vehicle, but, you know, you pay road tax just like everyone else does, so you're just as entitled to be there. You need to be confident and take up the road. So that's the first big thing. As I say, you will be taught these things in the CBT, but I just feel that they're the most important things to bear in mind. So that's the first. The second one is when you are doing a manoeuvre, when you're turning into a junction or when you're going to overtake or anything like that, obviously, as you should know by now, you do all your checks, don't you? You do your lifesaver check, you check your mirrors, all that kind of thing. But what you don't want to do is hesitate. So if you've done your checks and you've established that it's safe to go, then you should go pretty much straight away. Because if you hesitate, in the time that you've taken to hesitate, something could have come up behind you and you won't know it's there. So again, it can be dangerous. So if you do all your checks, then go, and it's safe, then go. If you do all your checks and then hesitate, do the checks again. because, as I say, you don't know what's come up behind you in that time, and you might have only hesitated for a very short space of time, but if someone's coming up behind you particularly quickly, you know, they can come out of nowhere and you wouldn't even know they were there. So that's another very important one. And then third one, and this is probably, in my mind at least, the most important one when it comes to staying safe on a bike, is basically just assume that everybody else on the road is a complete idiot. Now, I'm not saying they actually are. Most of the time they're not. Most of the time they're perfectly fine. But if you always assume that everyone's an idiot, then you'll never be surprised or taken by surprise when somebody does something stupid. And the thing about this is it's not that people are necessarily stupid either. It's just that, you know, in an ideal world, we would all drive around following the road rules to the T. We would, you know, all be safe and everything else. But the reality is we're all human, which means occasionally we do stupid things, we go too fast, whatever, and occasionally we just make mistakes. It happens. We are all human, we do all make mistakes. So you can't assume that just because it's your right of way somewhere, or just because somebody should do something, you can never assume that they're actually going to do it, because you just don't know, unfortunately. So the best thing to do is always assume the worst. So I'll give you a quick example. If you're coming up to a row of parked cars, so you're driving on obviously the left in England, right in America, and you come across a load of parked cars on the other side of the road. So let's stick with England for this particular example. So you come up along a road and there's a row of parked cars on the right hand side. Now, according to the rules of the road, anyone that comes up on that right hand side should give way to you, because the obstruction is on their side of the road. That is the rules. Now, if you assume that people will always do that, and you go charging through there, I'm not saying this will happen all the time, but occasionally someone will just pull out and come towards you, because, you know, again, people make mistakes, people sometimes just forget things. Like that's one particular rule that quite a few people do forget. So yeah, and you can find yourself in a bit of a situation there. So if you approach things like that cautiously, I'm not saying you have to like slow down to a stop or anything like that, but like, you know, don't go whacking open the throttle and charging through. Like, you know, go through at a reasonable pace, give yourself a chance to slow down just in case someone does come charging through, because you just don't know. And it's the same with anything, just always assume, like here, if there was a car waiting to come out of that junction there, always assume they're going to pull out in front of you. A lot of the time they won't, but if you assume they will, if they do, again, you're not going to be taken by surprise, and more than likely you're going to be able to save yourself. So they're my 3 biggest tips for staying safe out on bikes. It's by no means an extensive list. There are other safety tips that I want to go through in later videos, but they're the 3 main ones that I think help the most, especially if you're a younger rider. Actually, I'll tell you what, just for a little bonus one, I will say, always be confident in everything you do out on the bikes, because it's one of those things, even with driving cars as well actually, it comes driving any vehicle, one of the most important things is to be confident in what you're doing, but not overconfident. So what I mean by that is, if you're nervous, you're not necessarily going to be paying enough attention, or, you know, you're going to be distracted in what you're doing. So you've got to be confident. That's a good way of staying safe. But don't be overconfident, because if you're overconfident, again, you can start to make mistakes, because you become too you can become too confident in your own ability, and sometimes you can trip yourself up, if that makes sense. So yeah, confidence, but not too much confidence. But yeah, no, as I say, they're my main tips. I will be doing another video soon, hopefully, on some more safety tips, but I thought that would do for this video, just because I don't want it to drag on for too long. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, please do give it the old thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. Yes, I've got obviously my normal motor vlog. I've got a bunch of reviews of various different bikes and scooters and things, and also a couple of modifications and stuff I've been doing to old Ruby here. Do go check those out, and for now, thank you so much for watching. Catch you guys again soon.